Walk down the frozen aisle of any modern grocery store, and you will find an endless wall of brightly colored cartons. Today, ice cream is the ultimate childhood comfort food, a cheap, accessible treat bought for a few dollars. But for most of human history, eating a frozen dessert on a hot summer day was a physiological impossibility for all but the absolute wealthiest people on Earth. The story of ice cream is not really a story about milk or sugar. It is a story about humanity's psychological obsession with conquering nature. Creating ice cream before the invention of mechanical refrigeration required a massive, coordinated logistical empire. It demanded immense human labor just to produce a fleeting, temporary pleasure that would melt away in minutes. It was the ultimate status symbol, a culinary flex that proved a ruler could command the seasons themselves, bending the laws of temperature to satisfy a momentary craving. The earliest ancestors of ice cream were not creamy at all, they were harvested. In the ancient Persian Empire, engineers built massive conical structures called yakchals to store winter snow through the scorching summer. They poured grape juice and rosewater over snow to create falude, a freezing dessert designed to shock the senses. In the 1st century, the Roman Emperor Nero supposedly sent armies of runners into the Apennine Mountains, relaying buckets of snow back to the capital to be mixed with honey, fruit, and nuts. And by the Tang Dynasty in China, rulers were enjoying a fermented milk dish thickened with flour and camphor, chilled by packing it in snow. Psychologically, these rulers were not just eating a dessert, they were consuming a physical manifestation of their own power. Every bite of snow in July represented the thousands of laborers and grueling logistics required to bring winter into the heart of summer. But turning chilled drinks into true ice cream required a breakthrough in chemistry, not just logistics. The breakthrough was an endothermic reaction. Sometime around the medieval period, scholars discovered that adding salt to ice dramatically lowers its freezing point. If you place a bowl of liquid cream inside a larger bucket of salt and ice, the salted ice rapidly absorbs the heat from the cream, bringing its temperature down below the normal freezing point of water. This chemical hack fundamentally changed the texture of the dessert. You no longer had to eat coarse snow. You could manipulate milk, fats, and sugars into a smooth, frozen solid. When this endothermic secret reached Renaissance Europe, it sparked a revolution in the aristocratic courts. Italian nobles and French kings became obsessed with this magical transformation. It was culinary alchemy, turning liquid milk into a defying, melt-in-the-mouth solid that felt entirely unnatural and utterly luxurious. By the 17th and 18th centuries, ice cream had gripped the elites of Europe and the American colonies, but the productivity bottleneck was severe. Creating it required punishing physical labor. Servants had to manually hand-churn the creamy mixture inside a freezing bucket of salted ice for hours. If they stopped, giant ice crystals would form, ruining the texture. It was a miserable, freezing, exhausting task. Yet American founding fathers were obsessed. George Washington spent the modern equivalent of thousands of dollars on ice cream making equipment, and Thomas Jefferson meticulously recorded an incredibly complex recipe after his time in France. Eating ice cream in colonial Virginia meant you had the immense capital required to build a subterranean ice house, the logistical network to harvest river ice in February, and the enslaved or paid labor to churn the freezing mixture by hand in the sweltering heat of July. If you are fascinated by how engineering democratizes luxury, hit subscribe, because the 19th century changed ice cream forever. In 1843, an American woman named Nancy Johnson invented a hand-cranked ice cream freezer. Her simple mechanism featured a paddle connected to a crank, which scraped the freezing cream off the walls of the inner canister, creating an artificial vortex that smoothly aerated the mixture with a fraction of the physical effort. It was a massive productivity hack. Shortly after, a Boston entrepreneur named Frederick Tudor, known as the Ice King, industrialized the global ice trade, shipping massive insulated blocks of New England ice to India, the Caribbean, and Europe. With ice now globally accessible and the churning process mechanized, a Baltimore milk dealer named Jacob Fussell opened the world's first large-scale commercial ice cream factory in 1851. Ice cream plummeted in price, transitioning from an elite aristocratic obsession into an industrial commodity. Today, mechanical refrigeration has entirely erased the logistical nightmare that once defined this dessert. We pull it from a freezer without a second thought. Yet our psychological connection to ice cream remains incredibly potent. During American Prohibition in the 1920s, ice cream parlors replaced saloons, capitalizing on our neurochemical response to sugar and fat to provide a legal endorphin rush. During World War II, the U.S. military spent millions building floating ice cream factories in the Pacific Theater, understanding that this specific food offered an unparalleled psychological boost to exhausted troops. The next time you eat a scoop of ice cream, think about the thousands of years of human engineering it represents. You are eating the end result of ancient mountain harvests, chemical discoveries, and industrial revolutions. It is a frozen triumph over nature, packaged in a waffle cone.